Hello, AP Literature friends. Today we are going to be going over the elements of Greek tragedy. We're going to do three things to prep for reading Antigone. We're going to talk about the elements that all Greek tragedies have to have. We're going to talk about some staging terms that will be used in the play that we should know. And then we are going to go over briefly the story of Oedipus Rex. And because Antigone is the third play in a trilogy of plays, we need to know what happened in the first two plays to understand what's going to be happening in Antigone. So the first thing is, this is what a Greek tragedy has to have to make it a Greek tragedy. So the first thing is we have to have a hero or a heroine that falls. Usually that fall is a result of, one of these three things. Sometimes it's a combination, and oftentimes it is a combination of those three things. So they have to fall. They have to be in a high place and then be brought low. The second thing is they have to encounter limits, and because of their status, they oftentimes feel like they should be given free rein to do whatever they want, but they have limits because of these reasons. Usually the gods are one of the big reasons, and we're going to see that play a predominant part in the stories of Oedipus and of Antigone. Then it has to include a tragic hero. Now, a tragic hero is a special type of hero, and there's a formula for a tragic hero. A tragic hero has to have a noble bloodline, and in more modern times, in postmodern society, that has been challenged in a lot of our tragedies, is that most of our tragic heroes don't have a noble bloodline anymore. But for a Greek tragedy, a Shakespearean tragedy, they have to have a noble bloodline, which means that they are of the wealthy upper class, or they are a king or a prince or a princess. They have to have a tragic flaw. They have to make major mistakes. They undergo a major change. They have to suffer a downfall. All of those things have to be involved for it to be a tragic hero, but noble bloodline is most important. The hero needs to experience anagoresis if this is going to be a Greek tragedy. That means knowing again, and at the end of the play, the tragic hero should have some sort of revelation about fate, destiny, the will of the gods themselves, something like that. And then the viewer must experience catharsis. Every year I show this, students ask if that's my baby. That's not my baby. I don't know who that is, but they look really sad, don't they? But a catharsis is a purging of emotions. It's where we are able to release because we're watching something, or we're reading something, or we're experiencing something that makes us feel something. So those are the things that you have to make a Greek tragedy a Greek tragedy. Now we got some staging terms. So in Antigone, we're going to have odes, and it's like in between scenes, they do these like dancing and chanting breaks, and a chorus comes out and they chant to the audience and talk about what happened. It's a response to the previous scene, or it's a prayer. The first ode in a Greek tragedy is always called the parados, and then we have there's this chorus which represents the common people of the play, the town, and they are going to, when they chant during the odes, they're going to be moving back and forth across the stage. We'll try this one time, and the terms that they use in the play to show that we're going back and forth is strophe, antistrophe. Strophe is left or right to left. Strophe is left to right. I usually mix them up because, really, it doesn't matter. It just shows that we're going back and forth, back and forth. So here's the chorus, and these are the common people like we talked about. They're the ones that are chanting during the odes and the parados. And in Greek tragedies, if we're going to do a traditional Greek tragedy, everyone wears a mask because that was part of it. So you can see in here the chorus is all wearing a mask. The Karagos is the leader of the chorus. It's like the mayor of the town, and he has his own lines. He does participate in the chorus. Then there's the Paean, which is a hymn right towards the end. So not only do we have these ode breaks where we're chanting, we also sing a song right before the end of the play. So we have a song break. And then we have the Exodus, which is the final scene or the ending scene. So now let's talk about the story of Oedipus. And we need to understand these things to get into Antigone, or else we're not going to understand Antigone. So, a long time ago, once upon a time, there is all of the plays in this trilogy. The Sophocles trilogy happens in Thebes. And there was a king and a queen, King Laos and Queen Jocasta. Jocasta is oftentimes in the Greek spelled with an I, but it's Jocasta. They're going to have a baby, and they get a prophecy from the oracle. Lots of prophecies from the oracle. The prophecy states that their son, their unborn son, would kill his father. Well, they don't like that. And so they decide to kill their new little baby. So once the baby's born, they pierce the son's ankles. That's important. It's weird that they did that. So they take like a metal rod and put it through the two ankles of the baby, maybe so they can have a baby on a stick or something like that. I don't know. And then they can't do it themselves, so they give the baby to a shepherd to kill. The shepherd doesn't want to kill the baby either, because if I was given a baby and told, hey, kill this baby, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. So he takes the baby to Catharion, which is this mountain that's next to Thebes, and all the shepherds from all around this area bring their sheep there to graze. He finds another shepherd that's not from Thebes, and he says, hey, I got this baby on a stick. Could you take this baby away and make sure it never goes back to Thebes? And then the problem is going to be solved, right? Wrong. No, it's not. So the shepherd takes the baby to Corinth, which is on the other side of the mountain. And he gives the baby to King Polybus and Queen Merope because they aren't able to have their own children. Well, they think that that's awesome. And so they raise Oedipus, and I know it looks like Oedipus, but it's Oedipus, right? Or Oedipus sometimes if the person reading the text has a British accent, but Oedipus. And then they never tell him that he's adopted. They raise the child as their own. So Oedipus grows up, becomes an adult, and he goes to a wedding. And he's partying, and everybody around him is drinking, and this drunken guest comes up and tells him, he says, hey, your parents aren't your parents. You're adopted. And Oedipus is like, that's not cool. So he goes up and he confronts his adopted parents about it. And they say, no, you're totally our son. And so then Oedipus decides that he can't trust his parents because of their answer. So he goes to the oracle at Delphi. Once again, here's the oracle. And he says, I want to know, oracle, hey, tell me about my parents. Am I adopted? So the oracle... oracles don't give straight answers. They like to talk in riddles and give prophecies and stuff. So here's the prophecy. The oracle says, you will kill your father and have children by your mother. That's really scary for anybody. I don't want to kill my father. I also don't want to have children with my mother. So Oedipus freaks out, and he decides, I can't go back to Corinth. Because he doesn't want to kill Polybus, and he doesn't want to marry his mom, Merope. Well, as we know, because we kind of know the story, that was a mistake. He totally should have gone back to Corinth, and everything would have been okay. But instead, he heads towards Thebes. While that is all going on, in Thebes is a town of plagues. Like, they always are getting plagued, and they always are being cursed. Bad things are always happening in Thebes. They're always, I don't know what's wrong with that town. It's just not a good situation. So a sphinx comes to Thebes and takes over, and a sphinx is part person, part lion, part eagle, and it's just like walking around and saying, hey, I'm in charge, and everyone's like, oh, okay. And the Sphinx says, I'll leave as soon as you can solve my riddle, but nobody can solve it because they must all be stupid or something. I don't know. It's a really easy riddle when you see it later. And King Laos decides, I'm going to go to the oracle, because why not? That's where everybody goes. So King Laos and Oedipus meet each other at a crossroad of three roads, and they don't know that they're father and son. We know that they're father and son. They get into an argument about who has the right of way. King Laos is like, look, I am a king. You get out of my way. And Oedipus is like, no, I'm a prince, so I should not have to get out of your way. They get into a fight. Laos hits Oedipus. Oedipus gets angry. They fight. Oedipus kills King Laos on the road. So if we're following the prophecy, we now see that the first part of it has been fulfilled without Oedipus even knowing it. So Oedipus then goes to Thebes. He continues on. He's like, I killed a guy on the road. No big deal. Let's go to the town that I was supposed to. And he said, the people are like, hey, what's up? We have this Sphinx that's terrorizing all of us with its riddles. It won't leave us alone. It's like, hey, answer my riddle all the time. And so Oedipus says, well, I'll help you. So the Sphinx asks Oedipus the riddle. Here's the riddle. What goes on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? And if you answered man, you would be right, because that is the answer to the riddle. It's a really easy one, because in the morning, in the beginning of your life, you crawl. And noon, the midday of your life, you walk on 2 legs. And in the evening of your life, when you're old, you walk on 3 legs because you have a cane. Super easy riddle. So after answering the riddle correctly, Oedipus gets a prize, and the prize is they're going to make him king, because for some reason their king disappeared and they don't know what happened to him, and no one's going to investigate. The easiest way for them to accomplish this is to marry him to the previous queen, Jocasta, which is, as we know, is his mom. So second part of the prophecy has been fulfilled. And do they live happily ever after? Well, not quite. Oedipus and Jocasta marry and have 4 children. About 20 years pass, and then the play begins. All of that was set up. So once again, Thebes is in trouble. A plague has struck. Nobody can have babies. Their cows are dying. It's bad. Oedipus says he's going to end the plague. He sends Creon, which is Jocasta's brother. We'll meet Creon in the play, Antigone, to go find out. And they say that they have to solve who killed Laos. A blind prophet named Tiresias comes and tells everybody that Oedipus is the killer and that he is living in shame with his mother. Oedipus does a whole bunch of investigation. He questions all these shepherds. He questions all these town people. He finally realizes that, yep, I killed my father and I had babies with my mom. So that's not cool. Jocasta realizes what's going on before Oedipus does. She goes into the palace and commits suicide. Then Oedipus is like, well, my wife just went and killed herself, but I'm going to check with one more shepherd. So he does, and then he finds out the truth. He goes into the palace and takes Jocasta's brooches and stabs himself in the eyes. And here you go, is some images of Oedipus actors. So instead of dying right there, they lead him out of the city and they say, you can never come back. So he goes up on the mountain, Catharion, and he becomes this like blind prophet guy. So that was all at the end of the first play. The second play is Oedipus at Colonus, and he just wanders around the entire play with his daughter Antigone leading him, and he kind of prophesies some stuff. He says, whatever, I don't know, who I am, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, blah, 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 blah. And then he eventually dies at the end of that play. It's a really boring play. Then after that, Creon becomes king because Oedipus's children are not old enough to inherit the kingdom yet. And so Creon acts as, the king and as a placeholder for a while until Oedipus's children become of age. That's all you need to know to get ready for Antigone. That's all the Oedipus stuff and all the Greek tragedy stuff. So, there you go.